Today we'll be making Greek chicken thighs, aka chicken souvlaki, but a quick disclaimer, it's not going to be grilled, it's going to be pan fried, and that's what's actually going to speed up the process for us and make it under 20 minutes. So the very first thing that we need for a meal is the spices. I will include the link down below, but the spices that I had in my pantry were black pepper, dried basil, dried oregano, and powdered garlic. Aside from these top 3 spices that will be included in my cart as well, I also had dried parsley, thyme, and rosemary, but the parsley, thyme, and rosemary are not mandatory. They're completely optional. I would just make sure I had the top 3 here, the garlic, oregano, and basil, because that's what's gonna give your chicken that special Greek flavor that you usually need in a chicken souvlaki. So let's start. We're not adding the salt yet, so just set it aside. For the spice mix, I would start with 2 teaspoons of dried basil. I'm actually following a list here as well online, so you don't really have to remember it by heart. You can just pull it up anytime you're trying to make a chicken souvlaki. So 2 teaspoons of dried basil, and then 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. Okay. 1 teaspoon of black pepper. All right. 1 teaspoon of parsley. And this is where the spices start getting interesting. Again, you don't have to have these ones for achieving that flavor, but these are just some nice to haves. 1 teaspoon of dried rosemary. I honestly don't love a rosemary in my Greek chicken thighs, so I'm just gonna do like a half a teaspoon because it's just so pungent. But if you love rosemary with your chicken, go ahead and put in a full teaspoon. Same with the thyme. I think I'm just gonna put in like maybe 1/3 of a teaspoon just because it's so pungent. And finally, we forgot our garlic powder. Garlic powder is actually essential in a chicken souvlaki, so I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of garlic powder.
This is what the spice mix looks like. Just give it a good mix so it looks like it came from 1 pack.
We will now focus on preparing the chicken. So I actually put away my cutting board that I use for the vegetables and pull out my meat cutting board. I just try to have them separate so I know visually what I'm doing. Okay, so you will need the Greek chicken thighs, the pita bread. 2 essentials, the crunch of our meal, are the mini cucumbers. You can also buy the big one, the big English cucumber, I think it's called. But I prefer these ones because I can portion them out and I don't have to try and struggle to store the big one if I'm just cutting it in half and trying to use only 1/2 of it. And I love the cocktail tomatoes because they're so red and they actually, I believe they actually smell like tomatoes. Yes, they do. And they really remind me of the tomatoes that I used to have back home. We used to grow tomatoes in our backyard and they would just have this pungent tomato smell. They would be deep red, and when you just bite into them, the juice would come out. Honestly, this is all we need. And there's one last ingredient that is not a must-have, but honestly just brings everything together. It's a classic tzatziki that I also just store-bought because I don't want to make it from scratch, and I did make sure to read the ingredients. Because it's a cultured yogurt, it actually lasts for a while, which is why I think it's okay to buy it from the store. Now that we have our ingredients, we just made the spice mix, we have the chicken, the veggies, pita, and tzatziki. Let's just push away our vegetables and pita and focus on the meat. I'm just gonna pull out my chicken thighs, and again, I prefer chicken thighs because give it a good smell. These are good. They've just been in the fridge for a couple days. I prefer chicken thighs because they're much juicier than your usual tenderloins or chicken breast. And I think for the amount of spices we're using, it's really good to actually use the chicken thighs because the spices will actually stick to the meat given the oils that the meat has on its own. And I wouldn't be worried about the level of fats in the chicken thighs because if you really are trying to cut down on your fats, you can drain the oil from the chicken thighs. So what we're doing here is just cutting the chicken thighs into smaller cubes. It's going to take you maybe 5 minutes. Alright, so I'm getting through my second thigh and I'm using skinless, boneless chicken thighs. That's the one that I would prefer for this meal because the skin is actually, it adds a lot more fats to your chicken than just using the chicken thigh, and I'm not a fan of the skin, especially in something like a chicken souvlaki. So that's that. And I prefer it without the bone in because it's easier to cut through it. I don't have to try to cut around the bone. Alright, it looks like these cubes. If we draw the individual parts, they'd probably be an inch thick. Give your hands a good wash after the chicken because I know we don't love eating raw chicken. By the way, once you have cut your chicken in cubes, it's the time to start the pan. I start warming up my pan on medium heat. I can actually set it on high heat. Between high and 7 if you have an electric oven. And then if you have a gas stove, I would still put it on high, between high and medium, so it actually warms up pretty quickly. For frying the chicken, I'm using my 12-inch deep dish pan because when I'm frying it, I don't want the oils to spill over or to splash on my stove. It makes the cleaning much easier or just unnecessary. And I'm using my standard Tefal pans because I like that they're non-stick. And I'm just used to using them rather than a ceramic coated pan or a fully ceramic pan, which is super heavy and may not be good for frying at high temperatures. Okay, so our pan is warming up. It's actually pretty warm right now. I have my olive oil from the pantry again. I will have the list of pantry ingredients that I assume you will have, like salt, pepper, and olive oil, in the list below. And I will include all the ingredients that I bought in the cart that I attached in the description box. But the olive oil that you have, by the way, I love the smell of fresh olive oil. Anyway, just sprinkle a little bit of olive oil, not too much, just a little bit of sprinkle into your pan. Alright, now that the pan is warm, we just throw in our chicken.
So you'll see that a lot of steam will be coming off of your chicken, and it just means it's losing a lot of water, which is a good thing. I wouldn't stir it too much at this stage because we're waiting for the bottom parts of our chicken pieces to brown. So I'm just trying to show you how golden brown it's supposed to look before we start stirring it very hard. So once you see some of these rings forming, then you can start mixing it as much as you want.
Flip it around like this because you have high walls. While the chicken is cooking, we can pull out our vegetable cutting board. Okay. Now this is where the salt comes in. And you will start hearing that this is the time for salt because the chicken frying will quiet down. So follow your audio cues for adding the salt.
You'll see that now it forms this golden brown coating on all sides. And that once that's done, I lower the heat to medium between 5 and 6. And I keep lightly stirring the mixture so it just gets heated on all sides. You will be able to see the pink sides of the chicken, and this is where we need to just let them stay and cook through.
And the salt that I added just brings out the flavor from the chicken out. Now that the chicken is super quiet, we've added our salt. We can maybe sprinkle a little bit more actually. Ready for our spices. We can just try to throw in the spices and distribute them evenly all over our chicken.
After 5 minutes of keeping the chicken on the stove, it's going to look like this. And after putting in the spices, it will just look like that.
Our chicken is mostly ready, so this is the time when I bring out my Tupperware. So it's clean. Turn off your stove and put the chicken aside into your Tupperware. And you'll see it pretty much fills up the whole glass. I would not close my Tupperware yet because the chicken is very hot. In the stove that you preheated, set your 10-inch pan that's clean. It doesn't have the oils from the chicken souvlaki. And set it on low to medium heat right now because we'll just be warming up the pita. I'm taking 2 cocktail tomatoes. They're like not too small, but they're quite small. And then a cucumber. This is for salad. Set it aside for a second. Set your hand over the pan and feel if it's warm. It's going to warm up pretty quickly, I'll tell you. Get your pita. Alright, we have our pita open. Get a pita out of it. I'll just get one like this. Put it in your 10-inch. You'll see exactly fills up your 10-inch pan. For your tomatoes and cucumbers. Usually the cucumbers that I've been having in the US have better skin. I mean, many cucumbers outside of the US that I've had also have better skin. It just depends on the species of the cucumber. And it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. And if you can't do it from the first try, that's fine too. But just peel off the skin over the board and then start chopping directly into my container. I cut the cucumber in half and then I started chopping it into these almost like cubes. It's actually preferable that you cut your cucumber into quarters and then make the cubes much smaller. But hey, I just forgot. With your cocktail tomatoes, just cut them into 3s. Into these pieces. And these are very juicy tomatoes, and I actually prefer to flip them over onto their skin side so I can cut through the meat because it's much easier to cut through the meat, and throw them directly into the container bowl. See how easy that cuts? All right, another one. And you know, here you can play it by ear because once you see the container bowl, it's not that much tomato. Let's try to add the other one and see how much that's going to make. Honestly, in a Greek salad that I'm trying to make, tomato is kind of the main ingredient and the cucumber just adds the crunch. So don't shy away from adding more tomatoes. I feel very sad for all the people who are allergic to tomatoes. Sorry, guys. I mean, if you are, you can just add garlic to your cucumbers and you'll have a garlic cucumber salad. And if you're allergic to cucumbers or you don't like them, just use tomatoes and salt. Chicken on your pita bread, just in case. You will notice that when the pita warms up, it actually starts rising. And that's because the air gets trapped between the upper and lower layer of the pita because it has a pocket in between. So when it does start rising, this is the time when I flip it. So you see a little bit of that it has risen. So I just give it a good flip. I would not be afraid of making more because they save up well till morning. You can have them with your eggs for breakfast. This is how I'm peeling my cucumber. You don't have to be a pro or have grandma skills like me for cutting cucumbers. You can just use your board, but here, this is what I was trying to do with the other cucumber. Cut it in quarters. Go from the side and just try to make small little cucumbers. Alright. Add it to your bowl. Add maybe 1 or 2 more tomatoes. Chicken on your pita bread, just in case. Let's give our tomatoes a good cut again. If your tomatoes are not cutting, just keep sliding your knife back and forth on the tomato skin, and the friction usually gets through the skin. All right. Okay. And we go through the other tomatoes and see how juicy these Campari are. Like the juice literally falls through your fingers. That's what I love them for. I'm telling you guys. Sorry, not Campari. Cocktail. Now that our pita is ready, our chicken is ready. Once the chicken has stopped steaming, looks like this. I will close it with a lid so it doesn't get cold. I don't like when my chicken is cold. So our pita is nice and brown. And this is the time to start fixing your meal. So pull out a serving plate. Put your chicken pita in the middle. I usually try to keep this microfiber cloth, so whatever is wet, I don't have to keep wiping it. Just remove it. Okay. For your salad to taste amazing, once again, you gotta add your salt. The salt will bring out the flavor from the tomatoes. Give it a good mix. Give yourself a little bit good of a mix. Okay, now we have our pita, our salad, and our chicken. For my Greek chickens thighs, I actually really like a good Diet Coke if I'm outside and I'm getting Greek food because it just goes so well with a juicy chicken. But in a home environment where I'm trying to have a nutritious meal, I just get a kombucha, which is also bought from the store. The benefits of a good fermented drink these days. Okay, let's give it a go. can start our meal right now. Alright, now is the time to plate our meal. From the chicken, I'm just gonna take the glass Tupperware and you will see there is the oils at the bottom. So this is when you can actually drain your oils. They come with a little bit of, okay, that's not how I should do this. They come with a little bit of the juices from the chicken, so I wouldn't drain all of the oils because they still have all the spice mix that we had. Alright. I usually serve a third of the chicken thighs onto the pita bread that I warmed up. So a pound of chicken thighs will make 3 servings of this meal, the dish that we're preparing. So take out our salad and serve ourselves a good amount of the salad over the chicken. You'll see again that it has juices at the bottom. Those are the juiciest juices. They are really nice. So give yourself a good salad serving. Okay, and this is where the tzatziki comes in. And for the tzatziki, I would use a separate spoon because you don't want to mix your salad with the tzatziki. And I usually give maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons for 1 pita bread that we have.
Once you plate your pita bread and salad with the chicken and tzatziki on top, this is how it's gonna look.
This is how it goes. You can bring a fork for your help. Oh my god. What in the world? But I highly recommend it. We have a few servings of our salad left. And we have 2 more servings of our chicken thighs. See you guys.